Does adding an extra bedroom to a property actually add any value? The answer is, it depends. There you go, stop watching now. No, don't. So it really does depend on a lot of different factors, but something I really want to get across is it's not an automatic addition of value. It really depends on your location, the demographic, and the size of the property already. So I'll explain. If you've got a lower value area, for example, let's say it's an £80,000 area, and yes, if you're from London, there are genuinely places you can purchase property for 80,000, then adding an extra value won't automatically add value. Whereas if you are in a high value area where, let's say, a property in London is 1 million, adding an extra value more than likely will dramatically increase your profits. Next is what the demographic is in the area. For example, if it's an area of young professionals, adding an extra room won't add much more value to the property unless, of course, you're looking to rent out the individual rooms. But that's not actually adding value to the overall value of the property. That's adding value in terms of the extra rental income. Whereas if it's a young family area, let's say there's a load of schools in the area that's got good Ofsted ratings of good or outstanding, then that extra bedroom will add a lot of value in the tune of 15 to 20% dependent on the property and the location, of course. The final part is how many bedrooms does it have already? Let me explain. If you take a 1 bedroom to a 2 bedroom or a 2 bedroom to a 3 bedroom, you are likely to get a decent amount of impact. For example, 15 to 20% increase on the value of your property. However, the more bedrooms that it has already, it will diminish over time. For example, a 3 bed going into a 4 bed will not, or it's very unlikely to add 15 to 20% to the value. It might add 10 to 15%. A 4 bed to a 5 bed might add 5%, and a 5 bed to a 6 bed, you're looking at a very low amount of increase on the value. So you're really looking from a rental point of view. So what you need to do is talk to letting agents, talk to estate agents in the area and ask, what is the price of a 2 bed in this area? What is the price of a 3 bed in this area? And then you look at the difference and you decide the cost implication and, of course, the profit ratio. For example, in one of my areas, a 2 bedroom will sell for about 90 to 100,000 and a 3 bed will be £120,000 plus. So if I look at the cost implication of adding an extra bedroom, dependent on the format of the property, it might cost me £8,000 max to create it or change it into a 3 bedroom property. But if that increases the value of the property by up to 30,000, then that's definitely going to be a position that I want to take. It's going to depend on the layout of the property as well. So what I mean by that is, I've done it before, by the way, and I feel so naive now, but I bought a 2 bed with the plan to put it into a 3 bed. Technically, the format of it would be very easy. I wouldn't have to move any plumbing. I wouldn't have to knock down any serious walls. It's just putting up a very simple wall, and that would create the bedroom. However, what I didn't factor in is the square footage of the property. And so what I would have been left with is 3 very small rooms. And so whilst in theory it would be a 3 bed, and in theory it could sell for more and value for more, you have to actually look outside of the numbers and think about the human instinct. And so what people would then do is go into property and go, yeah, it is a 3 bed, and legally it could be a 3 bed. But then when you're comparing a 3 bedroom property that could just about fit a double bed in each room versus another 3 bed property that has ample space, just logically, which would you go for? So it doesn't automatically enhance the value. In fact, whilst it technically was worth and we could get it valued at more, there's no way we were going to end up selling it. And so in the end, we end up reverting it back to a 2 bedroom to achieve the original value. So here's the good news. You don't need to add a bedroom to enhance the value of the property. So I'm going to go through some other ways that you can think about that are very simple that will enhance the property's value the most. And let's start with the easiest one, a kitchen. And no, I'm not saying put a kitchen in. Hopefully you've got one already. But the number one place that people look for when they're buying a property is a good kitchen. The reason for that is it's the number one location where people spend most of their time outside of the maybe bedroom, but you're sleeping in it, right? So the reason a great kitchen enhances the value is people envision themselves there. Utensils, what space has it got? What sort of quality is it at? And you can spend £5,000 on a kitchen, and I don't know where you're based watching this, of course, and in London maybe it's 30,000, but it's the number one way of increasing the value of the property up to 15% with just a £5,000 kitchen. I'd say that's a pretty bloody good investment. The next, a bit of a unique one, adding a driveway. What? Now, adding a drive is actually really paperwork and annoying, because when you drop the curb, so in order to have a driveway, you need to drop the curb outside, and who has to do it? The council. They need to be signed off by the council, and the council are slow. They're very slow. They're annoying, being frank. If you work for the council, you're annoying. All right, so it takes a lot of time to get this, but dropping the curb, you don't actually need to do too much adding a drive. It doesn't need to be paved or anything like that. It just needs to have access and a drop curb, and suddenly, how is this? It adds 5 to 10% value to your property. What? Absolutely crazy, right? Ridiculous. Apart from, you need to understand that a house, outside of an investment for us, is an emotional purchase. So if you've got a young family, suddenly it's I'm not needing to walk down near the car. I'm not needing to walk down the street with the pram. It's like I'm straight out, kids in the car, on the way to school. So that sort of luxury that comes in from a very simple place adds a lot of value to somebody. We all know what it's like to be having like your spot on the road, which of course is not your spot, and then a neighbour has a friend come round and they park in your spot and you're suddenly pissed at them, right? But actually, it's not yours in the first place. So adding a driveway is incredibly easy. I think the most recent one I did cost me about £2,500 and added about 18,000 to the property value, which is insane in my opinion. Next is extending the property. So I'm not actually a massive fan of doing this one, but it wouldn't be a complete video if I didn't mention it. Extending the square footage of the property suddenly adds a lot more value just by having more space. When people value, or a RICS valuation, which is the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, that is what the bank would send out to value the property. The square footage is one of the key things they are looking at. And so suddenly, when they are looking at comparable properties in the area, one thing they will be doing is going, what did that house sell for? What's the square footage of that property? Therefore, what is the pound per square foot value? They will then apply that value to yours in order to get an end valuation of the property. The reason that's so important is part of when you are looking to sell your property is what the property will value at. People don't often think about that, but what is common within properties is called down valuations. So just because you sell your property for 300,000, you think that's a great price, it doesn't mean it's going to value at that. And so when the valuer goes out and goes, it's worth 280,000, how many people go, oh, I'm still going to buy it at 300,000? Not many. They'll end up buying it at the 280. So one way you can enhance the opportunity there is to make sure you're adding some square footage. Why don't I like doing that in general? Because often it involves structural changes. That gives complications. It takes a lot of time and a high expense. But in general, if I'm doing an extension, the rule of thumb is for each pound that I'm spending, I want to know there's £2.50 coming back. So if I spend £10,000, I want to know that's adding the value of around £25,000. That's just my personal approach, of course. The final one to enhance the value of the property, and then a little sneaky one, is a bit of a tart-up, all right? Well, that's probably inappropriate to say, I don't know. Tart-up, small touch-ups. The reason I say this is what adds value to the property is the experience that somebody's going through. And this is a bit harder to quantify, but okay, have you ever walked barefoot around your house and thought, oh, these are really nice carpets, they're really spongy, and then we've all walked on those ones that feel like sandpaper, they're cheap, they're shit. And it's the same as like the kitchen, the cupboards, the little chips on the side, the paintwork, everything like that. So you don't need to spend a lot of money. In fact, if you went in most properties and you just put down carpets throughout, spending say 1,500, a couple of grand, and then painting, let's say 5,000 in total just for that little tartar, you'd be shocked at maybe not the enhancement of value, but the speed of renting it out and the speed of selling. And so for me, one way of enhancing the value is to reduce your spend. What I mean by that is you can get a solid value a lot quicker. And what that means is you're not the average property that sat on the market for 6 months. So when you're looking at this property, just think about the experience when somebody is walking through. When they open the door, what are they getting hit with? Is it sort of dusty, smelly, or is it actually quite a bright space because you painted, you put some fresh carpets down, made it a little modern, so you're spending very little to enhance the value. The final one, which is a bit sneaky, isn't really about adding value, but you make money when you buy. The reason why I'm saying this is we are in a window of opportunity right now that is probably going to last 3 to 6 months, where we can purchase property today at or slightly below the market value. So I'm not really one of those that's looking to get a 20% discount. But if you go back 6 months, if you were buying in a high demand area, you'd be paying 10, 15% above the market value because you were competing with so many people. But if I said to you, hey, did you know there's a way that you can have an economy where you don't have loads of competition, where you can get it at or below the price in the best areas, what would you be saying? And that's the opportunity that we've got right now. But because of interest rates being higher, etc., people don't know how to access the areas. They've not got the context. They're not fast enough. That's what gets in the way. And so in order to get access to this, you need to be fast, you need to have experience, and you need to have a team behind you. So maybe that's you. You've got 50 grand, you've got 100 grand to invest, and you want to get access to those areas. Well, that's where we come in. At Aspire Property Group, we help people build their portfolios for them. If you want to have a free one-to-one consultation call to work out if we can help you build your portfolio, put APG in the comments. If not, I'll put a link in the comments. I'll pin it to the top. Click on it, fill in your details. As I said, APG, Aspire Property Group, we'll be in touch. We'll have a free one-to-one consultation to see if we can help you get access to the best properties in the UK right now. If you're new to the channel and you got value from this video and you want to watch more, make sure to hit the subscribe and the notification bell. And if you did get value, just lightly tap that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.